Topping today's news, the late Member of Parliament and Cabinet Minister Obie Wilchcombe laid to rest today. A man shot and killed in the Chippenham area earlier today. Former Prime Minister Perry Christie speaks on the dilemma in Haiti, and another tourist drowns while on vacation here in the Bahamas. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jcn Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News, and it is a pleasure to have you join us. The late Obadiah Hercules Wilchcombe, Cabinet Minister and Member of Parliament for West, Grand Bahama and Bimini, memorialized in style with a state funeral today. Hundreds, if not thousands, of Bahamians turned out this morning to pay their final respects to a political giant and a broadcasting giant as well. From lining the streets downtown to packing the Christ Church Cathedral on George Street, it was a solemn morning in Parliament Square. Around 10:15 a.m., activity began with the funeral procession to the cathedral. The late minister's body left the halls of Parliament for the last time, flanked by a law enforcement color party as members of all armed forces made up the procession that included parliamentarians and the judiciary. At the service, tributes were made by former Prime Minister Perry Christie, who reminisced on a younger Obie Wilchcombe when he first joined the world of politics as a speechwriter for the late Prime Minister Sir Lyndon Pinling, and then as a senator before being elected to Parliament and serving twice as Minister of Tourism under the Christie administration.
And the record would reflect that in the 2 non-consecutive terms I served as Prime Minister, Obie Wilchcombe served in the capacity of the Minister of Tourism. I did it because his personality was conducive to carrying out one of the fundamental duties of a Minister of Tourism. Having a feel for marketing, his broadcasting prowess, his exposure to becoming one of the more eloquent broadcasters in our country, ability to fashion a message and communicate it, stood him in good stead. But more importantly, he had the qualities that enabled him to mix well with the leadership of the tourism industry.
Opposition leader Michael Pintard, in his tribute, remembered the late Minister Wilchcombe as one who sought to lower the political temperature, noting that Minister Wilchcombe was a skillful communicator.
Members of the opposition respected Obadiah Wilchcombe, and we will miss him. We will miss him in large measure because he sought to bring the political temperature in the country down. The tribalism and the level of anger that we often display has been counterproductive to our development, and Obie sought to lower the temperature. And no matter how fierce our exchanges were in the House of Assembly, while I would seek to hold on to the anger for at least that day, that week, maybe that month, Obie immediately upon completing that exchange would sit down and lean around the clerk so he could see, and he'd say, "Marco City, you okay?" So he didn't carry the grudge, at least not publicly.
Prime Minister Philip Davis, in his tribute, also remembered the late minister in his younger days as a reporter, eventually becoming a man that dedicated his life to public service. The Prime Minister noted that Minister Wilchcombe had so much in his life to offer, making reference to legislation that was piloted by the Minister of Social Services and Urban Development, the Protection Against Violence Act 2023.
There's so much to be learned from Obie's boundless optimism and his profound belief that politics are a force for good, one of the best agents for positive change. Cynicism and narrow self-interest will not produce the kind of country that we all hope for, the kind of country we are all striving for. An important lesson is also to know when the day is right for the mentorship to end, when the student must fly free to shape the world for the next generation. It is fitting that at this state service that is being held today, October 12th, the anniversary of the recorded landfall of Christopher Columbus in the Bahamas. Obie had a keen sense of the thread of Bahamian history, winding through the landmark moments. His parents had both been very active early members of the Progressive Party. His love of the party and all that it stood for, his acceptance of the discipline of the party and its tradition were part of the thread of his personal inheritance. He would no doubt have enjoyed the irony that his life, dedicated to progressive values and ideals, is being celebrated on the very day that marked the arrival of one of the great oppressors of those values.
The late minister's state funeral ended with a 21-gun salute in Parliament Square and a sunset ceremony closing out the 3 days of mourning for Minister Wilchcombe. His body will be flown to his hometown, West End, Grand Bahama, where a funeral service will be held on Saturday morning, October 14th, at the Pro-Cathedral Christ the King Church, Pioneers Way, East Atlantic Drive. Interment will be held in the West End Public Cemetery. Police are reporting a shooting incident on Eden Street and Baldwin Avenue that has led to the death of a young man. Earlier reports say the victim was shot multiple times about the body and succumbed to his injuries. Police are actively investigating, and according to JCN's records, this is the 77th homicide in country so far this year. Again, it appears that an illegal firearm has been used in another murder. We'll have more details in a later report. On the heels of a Kenyan court ruling on Monday to temporarily suspend its government's plans to send 1,000 police officers to Haiti on a United Nations-backed mission to restore law and order in that gang-infested Caribbean nation, former Prime Minister Perry Christie says great intervention is needed.
For people to feel safe and secure, the police forces of Haiti must be able to do the job. They are underserved, they're losing manpower daily. And so there's an acute need for assistance. And again, it can't be imposed upon them because the stakeholders in Haiti do not want an invading force. And they argue that persuasively all the time. The challenge for us as a region is to recognize that every day people are dying, being killed, people are being kidnapped. And that is a tragic set of circumstances that exist today, and therefore we must never stop until we are able to reach some kind of agreement.
For months, Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry and his government have been calling for the deployment of a multinational force to combat armed gang violence in his country. As part of the eminent persons delegation assigned to CARICOM, or assigned by CARICOM, to address the crisis in Haiti, Mr. Christie explained to reporters on Wednesday the role they will play in ensuring law and order is restored in Haiti.
We are ourselves appointed to negotiate and assist the stakeholders in Haiti, meaning the political parties, civil society, the church, but all of the stakeholders to reach a consensus as to the way forward. We are not there to determine a multinational force who comes in. That is the United Nations, and they did that. What we are there to do is to try to get the political organizations to reach an agreement where they can then take the steps towards the democratization of Haiti.
That was former Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Perry Christie. Speaking at a financial tech event, D3 Bahamas, on behalf of cryptocurrency exchange OKX, who opened its Bahamas branch office in the capital last month, Chief Innovative Officer Jcn believes that the crypto industry has not done enough to educate the average person as it concerns crypto technology. The financial tech event serves to join stakeholders and policymakers as it concerns blockchain, digital assets, and Web3.
I think we have a long way to go. I'll be honest. I think we talk in jargon. We talk among ourselves about the benefits, but I don't think that's really translated to a wider audience what that really means for them. Yeah. So, which is why I think things like the sand dollar, right? Here, very interesting, right? It's like, how do we actually bring these innovations to life for people that may not need to understand how the technical stuff works? DeFi, CeFi, like who needs to know about that stuff at the end of the day? At the end, we have a long way to go. And so if you guys have feedback on how we can improve on that front, let us know. We're all ears. I think there's work to be done.
As it relates to fellow, albeit seemingly failed, cryptocurrency exchange FTX, OKX's Chief Innovation Officer was asked how he feels the entire fiasco has affected the crypto industry and persons' attitude and trust in crypto finance, to which Mr. Lau said it all serves as a learning experience.
Yeah, so from the centralized exchange perspective, there are many competitors out there, as we know. We think transparency is paramount. Obviously, security is important, but also, accessibility. Making sure our team, our people, our brand are available for people to come and chat with. Right? Like we're right here. You can come talk to us. We're not hiding behind some shell company somewhere else in the world. We're regulated. Right? Again, we're talking to all of not just our users, but all stakeholders. Right? Regulators. Banking partners, other service providers, we're available. I think that really is the critical piece. And so, the fees, all the stuff is important. The product is extremely important. But overarching that is to make sure that users trust. Centralized exchanges do need to be trustworthy, right? They're not on-chain entities, right? And so, building that trust with all of our stakeholders extremely important.
Mr. Lau expanded on the ability of older people understanding the new technology, let alone explaining the fintech to that age group, once again emphasizing on the importance of education, especially for those outside looking into the fintech sector and trying to understand the industry.
Look, my mom has no clue what I do either. Welcome to the club. Yeah, exactly. And which is why that education piece is so important, right? Making sure users are informed, making sure they're also, have guardrails in place so they don't, end up doing something they regret. Just super important, and we're working hard on it. I think as an industry, we have a long way to go, and ourselves, we're trying, and that's what we're focused. They don't attach value to digital items yet. Yeah. They don't even think that's a real thing. And until you get to that point where people understand that digital things can have value and should be stored and secured, then it's a no-brainer that you need a wallet to do that, or something to do so, right? Like, our physical wallets we very well understand that we need to protect that, right? Like, it has my money in it. And that's the trajectory, I think. It will take quite a bit of time for us to get there.
That was Jcn Lau, Chief Innovation Officer for OKX. And finally, in this segment, Prime Minister Philip Davis gave the keynote address at the annual Bahamas Reef Environment Educational Foundation BREEF, the Eco Schools Bahamas Coordinators Workshop. He commended the coordinators for helping to preserve our natural resources as we struggle with the effects of climate change.
My administration is committed to working collaboratively with BREEF and other environmentally conscious groups to protect our environment and make the Bahamas more climate resilient. Last month, and in fact was the hottest September, the fourth consecutive month of such unprecedented heat, putting 2023 firmly on track to be the hottest year documented. Global temperatures are increasing, sea levels are rising, and hurricanes are more frequent and more destructive. Action is urgently needed, and I have made it my mission to lead this charge.
BREEF is also celebrating 30 years of conservation in the country. Prime Minister Philip Davis commends members for their continued efforts across the board.
BREEF's comprehensive approach to protecting our environment, from offering policy recommendations to engaging in hands-on restoration work and collaborating with the international community, has proven invaluable to conservation efforts. I commend you for helping to preserve our natural environment for generations of Bahamians to come. I also applaud the role you play in galvanizing our youth and teaching them the principles of stewardship. Soon enough, a new generation will be at the helm, and it's up to us, the leaders of today, to empower the change makers of tomorrow.
The nation's leader says the government will not let up its 2030 goals, as well as their continued push for greater resources for small island developing states who contribute little to no carbon emissions.
This is not just a matter of relying on the charity of the world's superpowers. They created this issue, while small nations like the Bahamas have contributed the least to its problem. Yet, we are facing the most dire consequences. Our calls for more resources are about climate justice, giving the most vulnerable nations a fighting chance to respond to the threats of a problem caused by others. We will not let up on our efforts until real action is taken.
The theme of the workshop, Advancing Climate Resilience in the Bahamas. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.